Hey everyone. Before we begin, a quick content note. The plot of the movie we're about to discuss involves the topic of abortion and limitations on access to it in a historical setting. We recorded this episode before the Roe v. Wade news broke, so there is no commentary. But if this is a topic you'd rather avoid, I encourage you to do what's best for you. Thanks for understanding, and now on with the show. Welcome to Happily Ever Aftermath, the podcast that explores the movies that influenced how we view love and romantic relationships. Yes, there will be spoilers. I'm your host, Diana Rojek Skonnord. No, that's a lie. I could love you again. I'm just not sure that I want to. We're talking about Circle of Friends from 1995, and I am here with Ryan to talk about this thing from my childhood. Hi.
Hi there.
How's it going?
Not bad. I'm excited to talk about this.
Are you?
Well, sometimes when you say you have like a personal connection with a movie, it's not so obvious what that is, and then sometimes it's really obvious. So
Go on. What's really obvious?
Well, I mean, speaking as someone who, dated you as a sheltered Catholic young woman, you were the sheltered young woman, not me. But but even so, I felt like I kind of lived this story. It was like, is this a documentary about me?
Are you Jack Foley, the blue-eyed boy?
I wish. I mean, what?
You wanted to be Robin?
I wanted to be. Wait. Who was Robin? I can't.
No. Chris. Okay, Chris O'Donnell.
Oh, right. He played Robin in the bad Batman movie from the 90s.
Two of them.
Two. We played two Robins.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Well, the back of the movie got all the characters' names mixed up, so why should I be expected to?
Thank you for that segue.
Yes.
Okay.
There's no Robin in this movie, right?
So the funny thing is no.
Just a Simon and an Aidan and okay, please continue.
Yeah. Okay. This movie was on my list to do for the podcast since the beginning. From before the beginning.
In fact, I was fairly sure you had done it at some point.
Right. You're like, didn't you already do that one? It's like, no, honey, I've just been talking about it nonstop for...
And you did a movie called Four Friends, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That was Heidi's pick.
I think I blended those together in my mind.
Right. But also difficult to get.
Yes.
I got from the library.
This one, even harder, it turns out.
Right. So going back, even before... doing the episode, as I said, I wanted to do this movie since before we even started this podcast. What was really difficult about it is that it was never available. And I'm not just talking about never available streaming. You can't even rent it. And it was difficult. So on and off for 5 years, I'm just like, hey, Just Watch app. Is it available yet? And it wouldn't even come up with anything because it was available in Australia, because they have a little drop down that says, what, where you can get it. And it was very,
They
very...
didn't tell me about the Australia thing. We probably could have gotten it over a VPN. Such as our podcast sponsor, some VPN company. No, I'm kidding.
The thing about that, though, is that this goes back to Paulina and I had talked about it. It's just like, oh, I want to do Circle of Friends, pause. I hate the idea of doing this and people can't access it.
Right.
Because I'm not... How did this get made? Where they can just put a thing and put a code into Vimeo and do a whole thing because people actually care. But
I'm not sure that's actually allowed, but
of course it's not. But
yeah, but nonetheless, you don't have enough listeners in Australia.
All the listeners are in Australia can watch this. Actually, I don't know. That was a long time ago that I checked it. But when I looked this up recently, I can't remember what it was, but it was an unrelated topic where I Googled it. And at the very top of the image results was Blu-ray. And I'm like, no. How is this on Blu-ray? I don't understand how this is on Blu-ray because, of course, in looking for it, I checked the library because if it happened with Four Friends, it might be able to happen with Circle of Friends.
Yeah, so this movie came out, what year? You said 1998?
1995.
95, okay. So probably before DVD even. Definitely didn't have a contemporary Blu-ray release.
I had to, for a while, I was Googling, can I just go to the actual, studio that made it, see who owns the rights to this. I was looking up who owns the rights to this, and of course there's the these rights and the other rights, and I'm like, well, maybe I can get access to do a screener.
Were you thinking to buy the rights to this movie?
No, I was looking to buy the rights to show this movie in a public venue so I could watch the damn thing.
Wow.
I wish.
I didn't hear the half of this.
No, I just kept bouncing back and forth. I think I went to like Focus Features and like tried to find it because eventually like the company that had it went bankrupt. It got acquired by this other company, and then all these different things happened. But I went to see where I could get a copy of it, and on Amazon it's just like $40 for a Region 2 DVD copy, and I'm like, that won't play in my country, but 40 you say.
Yeah.
It's all difficult. So when I saw that, oh my god, a Blu-ray copy, I got so excitable, and then I paused and I didn't buy it because I figured that I should wait, because this movie has eluded me for so long. It's too soon. I have to do this just right. I can't record this. I have to give this movie justice that my anxiety has given it that no one knew about until right now.
You have to save the first time you watch it on disc for a special when you're sure you're really ready.
Anywho, to no one's surprise whatsoever, I spend lots of time with the lovely Meg through video chat. And I mentioned it to her, and I'm just like, it's finally available. I finally looked at it. I can get it on Blu-ray. Apparently, it's been available since February 2021. Stupid pandemic holding me back.
Yeah. But did you say why it, like, after decades of laying dormant, all of a sudden it pops up in this release? Like, there was some kind of weird rights issue that got cleared behind the scenes or something?
I'm not sure. I didn't look too far. All I know is like, I better get this.
Yeah, I think, I don't remember the details, but I think that popped up in some internet search or another about how like some company changed hands and a bunch of IP rights got opened up. And Yep.
And so this episode is brought to you by Meg Mazeski.
Thank you, Meg.
Thank you, Meg. And when it appeared on my doorstep, I was very excitable, and I was very much squealing like the girls in this movie. And I got nervous about watching it because, again, I have built this up way too much. And I didn't know if I could do it justice. And then the good news is when I looked at the cover,
built it up too much in your head. Yeah. Yep.
I looked at the cover. I'm like, oh, wow, this is amazing. The Blu-ray copy, flip it around. Oh my God. Set in 1950s Ireland, Circle of Friends is a romantic comedy starring Chris O'Donnell and Minnie Driver. Benny O'Donnell, what? And Eve Driver, what? Learn all about love and friendship when they escape the dull confines of distant Knockglen and attend college in Dublin, where their education really begins. I got so mad at this because Benny is Driver.
A common woman's name, yes.
And Eve is actually Geraldine O'Rawe. And then when I went to go look down further, I'm like, whoa. This movie, Chris O'Donnell, Colin Firth? Circle of Friends, Minnie Driver? Wait, what? Colin Firth is famouser now, and that's why they're shoving him to the beginning. But why? I know why, but I don't accept that this is what happened. I'm very irritable about this. I'm very irritated by it. More so, actually, than subsequently less so, than when I saw Colin Firth appear with his creepy Hitler mustache.
No, it was like a guy with a van kind of mustache, you know?
I thought you were going to say like a Van Dyke, and I'm like, that's not right.
No, I didn't have the beard.
So Van down by the river?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. So I have already given so much personal backstory about this movie.
Yes, this was my first time ever seeing it. And yeah, the slow burning romance in 1950s Ireland. How could I lose?
I was nervous about having you watch this with me because all I could think was, you're gonna hate this.
Yeah, come on. It's got two cast members from GoldenEye, and
calm down.
Two people from various Batman movies, and
calm down.
Okay.
So I had to say, honey, are you doing that thing again where you're mixing up Saffron Burrows with Isabella who was in GoldenEye?
GoldenEye? What?
Right,
No.
Alan Cumming.
Alan Cumming.
Yeah, sorry. People mix up Saffron Burrows with lots of people all the time. Like, I'm sorry, Saffron Burrows was not in Starship Troopers.
And the second Batman person would be Aidan Gillen.
Sure, if we're going to play that game.
Yes, we are. I don't think his character had a name, but...
I don't like that so much of what I was watching was just really anxious about what you thought, because I'm like, honey, I don't think you're going to recognize him. That's Littlefinger.
I did not recognize him at first, and the minute I saw his name... as I was scrolling through IMDb, it was like a thunderclap because he just totally looked like him, and yet does not look like him at all.
Looks like a child. not
also,
evil.
Yeah. Also kind of a cheat that his character is also named Aidan,
That's
so I guess they're
not
throwing you off.
helpful. But again, I mean, I very much enjoy Colin Firth, but this movie, he was very effective as ew.
Yeah,
I'm not done. Ew. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was a real slime ball, and yeah, you go far back enough
kept
when
doubling down on it too.
Yeah, when he's not, getting typecast as the charming types or whatever. But yeah, no, I thought the movie was fine. It was a little bit on the dry side, but I'm down for a nice quiet drama from time to time. You don't need to, just because you drag me on here whenever there's like an action movie or something doesn't mean I can watch a Colin Firth movie where he doesn't shoot up a church or.
Do I drag you on to the action movies, honey?
No, I beg you.
And justice. Okay.
Yes.
So, okay. That is the history up until like 5 years ago. Even before then, this movie, why this movie? I can tell you that I rented the hell out of this at Blockbuster. I remember that, cover and it saying Circle of Friends, and I would just constantly run it over and over again. It was part of my cycle.
Yeah, how did it first pop up on your radar?
No fucking clue.
Just like picked it off the shelf as one did back in those days?
I don't know, but I could very easily see this as the kind of thing that my dad picked up for my mother picked up for herself, and I watched it too. I mean, this speaks to, something my mom might enjoy.
I have known her to enjoy Catholicism, and this is an aggressively Catholic movie, so...
Aggressively Catholic, much like me when you first met me.
You could say that.
I would like to let the record show that I'm not that Catholic-y anymore. That sounded garlicky, didn't it?
You can self-describe however you want. I'm not going to add anything to that.
Sure. I watched it a lot. I can remember the case being on my combo 13-inch VHS television in my room, which I was the fortunate one of the family because I got to have a TV in my room. All the other kids had been, left the house already, so I got to do stuff that was against the rules. No TV. And it really spoke to me. I suppose if I watched it when it came out, I don't know, if I was exactly 12, 13 years old or if I picked it up 14, 15, 16. But I'll tell you this much. When I picked up the quote for this episode, I read it off of IMDb and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. So we put the movie back on to clarify it. And I'm still worried that I got it wrong, but at the very least, I didn't get it IMDb wrong.
If you had asked me before we checked, I would have laid money on you getting it right and IMDb getting it wrong.
I don't know what's wrong with me. There could be so much more information in there that's
I know. You have an uncanny memory for movie quotes, and yet you're constantly like upset at yourself for getting them wrong. And yet, you see, the thing is, most people would never notice they got them wrong in the first place.
I also enjoy doing the inflection correctly. I did not attempt the accent, though, because I would have failed miserably, but also, apparently in the trivia, no one in this movie is Irish. The actors.
Right.
And they're all just, some people were very upset about the very, very crappy accents. And I'm just like, I don't know what's happening. I'm a teenager.
They sounded okay to me, but I don't think I have that great of an ear for accents.
A lot of the times Irish actors are asked not to do that. And then you got Liam Neeson grumbling like, an American.
So you want to talk about Batman some more?
I mean, always.
Okay.
Except that's okay. Okay. So the movie itself, I did read the angry version of the cover, but but it is, 1950s Ireland. Chris O'Donnell as Jack Foley, the blue-eyed boy. Minnie Driver as Benny. Who
hideous cow. To listen to the other characters describe her.
No.
Is just morbidly overweight.
You want to... Here's the thing. How many people actually described her as that except for... Not counting herself.
Not counting herself, like 3.
Oh, right.
I don't know.
The guy who was trying to bang her, so basically he was gaslighting her.
Early pioneer in negging, I guess.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started. Okay, Jack's father, who did it in a very kind way. There's something about these softer girls.
Sure.
Yeah. Who are the others?
I don't know. Nan maybe, or one of her parents.
Okay.
Her parents are jerks, right?
I don't remember. I don't think so. Oh my god. Okay. Saffron Burrows, Alan Cumming. This was my introduction to Alan Cumming, except for possibly Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. So that was just the weirdest contrast of just the shy nerd who was in love with, Lisa Kudrow, and then this character. So I didn't know who to believe.
Also kind of a shy nerd, but not he's not shy where it counts.
Yeah. Colin Firth as the worst. Oh god.
He's
and
the token Protestant.
Okay, we'll go with that. And then
with views on birth control and such to match.
Aidan Gillen.
Mm-hmm.
Who
as
was
Aidan.
As Aidan, yeah, exactly. And then what is it? Ciarán Hinds as the professor?
I'm not. I should have looked up how to pronounce that.
I didn't as well. So
I'm almost certain you got it wrong.
Yay!
But yeah, remind me. What do we know that actor from?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, well, apparently he's in this, but it's just that
If I remember to later, I'll put it on Twitter.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, imagine these little girls growing up in a small town and then, separated, and then they come back together in college. You've got the literal orphan raised by nuns. The
that was Eve.
That was Eve, yeah.
Yeah. And they make up for her being an orphan by giving her her own house. Apparently, I'm not even sure how that works.
I believe that was her father's cottage. Her mother died there. It was his. The nuns held on to it until she was old enough to take over.
That makes more sense.
Right. The whole making up thing, it's like apparently her father was the gardener to Colin Firth's wealthy family. That's why in the very beginning she goes to say like, well, it's like, we're going to pay for her education. He's shouting to his, failing health father in the corner in a wheelchair. She's like, it's the gardener's daughter. We're going to pay for her education. It's like, stop it. We get it. You're an asshole. And so that's happening. And then they go off to, what is it, the University of Dublin, and hijinks ensue.
Meet the boys.
Yeah. That's kind of it for the most part. You probably didn't experience this as much as I do, but when I went from high school to college and then was actually able to really choose my education, and I could start taking all these classes that were like that, this is like my head is exploding class ever, where it's like they're reading a book that's supposed to show the differences between like sexual relationships between this tribe somewhere and then also in Ireland. So.
Right.
And so, of course, there's always the
yes, look at this crazy foreign culture with their practices and customs and whatnot.
What's that, the British?
Yeah, Protestants. How they live.
He pulls one of those little world map things down, and this picture of Colin Firth's head right there. That guy. I wonder at times how much I would just absorb Benny's just mannerisms, because just how shy she is around the boys, let alone Jack. Probably supposed to be the handsomest and most popular boy in school, although like we only see them in tiny circles. But he plays rugby, so apparently he's a star. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and he definitely knocked Benny's. Okay, we did the thing with the wrong names. Now I can't remember the right ones.
All right.
Yeah, definitely knocked Benny's socks off the first time she saw him, and it seemed like Nan was interested in him too. Am I remembering that right? Or
so
it totally looked like it was going to a love triangle place, but it didn't, and that was actually kind of refreshing because that probably would have made for a less interesting story.
So one of the things that I figured out when I was older, because surprise, watched this movie once, and then once I decided these are the parts that I want to watch, those are the parts that I watched over and over again. Nan said when they were at the dance and they were in the bathroom, while once again Benny was talking about like, this is horrible, he's not dancing with me even though he invited me, but he invited all the girls at once. Eve was saying, it's fine. Trust me. He talked about you the whole time. Besides, I'm not interested in any of these boys. They're just for practice. And so I was slowly piecing it together. Oh, I think Eve's doing that thing where she's at the University of Marriage.
Right.
She's trying to, but she's taking it one step further, because in certain instances it makes sense, because, a lot of women would go to university to get married. in the United States. But I guess her version of that is just like, oh, no, I'm going to trap me a wealthy guy.
Mm-hmm.
But her version of that is like, well, these guys aren't ready to go and aren't on their way up. She needs somebody who's got money now. So I think she's actually trying to save the family by marrying into wealth. And she's taking it one step further by like, oh, no, I'm going to trap this guy into marrying me. You have this look on your face like you're piecing it together.
You kind of lost me. How do you mean trap? Like,
Simon, she's calling to see where he is, make sure that she's there when he's there.
Sorry, you're using too many pronouns.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're talking about Eve or Benny at this point?
Nan.
Oh, great. Okay.
Sorry. Nan, Saffron Burrows' character.
Uh-huh.
She's at school. These boys are just for practicing on. So she's not interested in Jack.
I thought you said Eve said that. Like, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, Nan said, okay.
If I did,
Nan was not interested in Jack. Okay.
No, because you said, you thought it was going to be a love triangle between
I know. You said something about Eve in the bathroom. And
oh, I'm sorry. Okay, if I did, I retract it.
Okay, it was Nan who was in the bathroom.
With Benny.
Not just me. Okay, good. Phew.
I don't know what I said, but I'm retracting it.
Okay.
See, it's on the back of the box right now. That's them right there.
Yeah, reapplying lipstick.
And checking their boobs.
Sure.
Yeah, of course. But no, the whole idea is Nan made the phone calls, making sure Simon was at a certain place. She's there at the restaurant when he arrives.
Simon being Colin Firth?
Colin Firth.
Okay.
Yes. The rich Protestant.
Thank you for helping me piece this back together. Anyway, point is, not a love triangle.
The point, well, I mean, not exactly a love triangle.
Nan and Simon had designs on each other, I guess, or...
in a manner of speaking.
Not really symmetric, like you said, Nan after the money and...
Nan's after the money.
Right.
Simon's after a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Where he can keep getting it consistently.
Mm-hmm.
God, he's so gross in this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
That's why I kept skipping this segment of, this part of the movie.
But I think that's a good segue to the speed at which these various relationships are kind of moving into sexual intimacy and all the religious and moral baggage that comes along with it, because it's like it isn't really addressed until I want to say like maybe 40 or so minutes into the movie, and then kind of the entire movie becomes about what these young women are willing or unwilling to do relative to their religious upbringing and
sure, and the different versions of it too. So Nan, and Simon, she actually hesitates for a while and then eventually makes the decision, yes, I will do that.
Right.
And so eventually they do it in a hotel, and then it's hard because they have to keep sneaking around, and then so they end up going to the cottage and in secrecy. Eve's cottage in secrecy.
And sneak in there in the middle of the night.
And there's this thing too where you have all three couples doing their own version at once. So you've got Nan and Eve, which we just talked about, Benny and Jack making out in a car, and he's like pulling her top off, and in the middle of it she's just like, no, I changed my mind. And then in the end you've got Eve and Aidan playing checkers. And it seems so innocuous because you got this couple making out, this couple, doing this. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, they're playing checkers. That's really cute. And then you find out what happens after he beats her in checkers. And
there was a wager for certain actions. And yet still the most innocent by far, even accounting for that.
You have to hold it in your hand for 30 seconds. And yet not the creepiest one.
But she's not going to jiggle it around?
That's what she said.
Yes.
Yes. Good for you, Eve.
Also, when you were listing off the three relationships, I think you said Nan and Eve for the first one, so...
Damn it.
They're not that adventurous. Nan and Simon, right?
Well, considering where Nan and Eve end up at the end of the movie with Eve waving a knife at her.
Sure.
Okay. That's a lot of jumping around. That's not surprising.
The audience is thoroughly confused.
Well, the good news is you can't find any of this anywhere unless you buy a copy on Blu-ray.
No one's going to contradict you. It's like...
I get a phone call from Minnie Driver. What the hell? Still no accent. So it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's not... It's... I imagine... Did I confuse you with the plot?
No, I mean, I watched the movie. I was mostly just trying to keep up with which place you were jumping to. But yeah, I mean, I think we've painted a pretty vivid picture of that, young, tempestuous, like first serious romance when you're, an adult and out on your own, but still don't really have a sense of yourself, and, figuring out all these lines you want to cross with regard to sex versus, college and stuff. Actually, I wanted to ask, like, did it resonate for you, the thing where, Benny's social life was kind of being hampered because she had to commute home from the college every single night, and it's like an hour-long bus ride so she could go home and be with her parents in the evening.
I was just about to mention that. I'm thinking another thing I really related to was the fact that she's still so tied to her parents, and at home, and she yells at her parents, that this is, you let me go, but then you just you're taking me to the top of the mountain screaming, and see that's what you can't have, and then just bringing me right back home.
Right, because they're all enthusiastic about her going off to college so she can become this independent, successful adult, and yet they're
already picking out a husband for her.
Yeah, exactly.
In the creepy Sean Walsh. Mm-hmm. Oh God, Alan Cumming, so gross in this movie. Excellent actor.
Yeah, quick, who's grosser in this, Alan Cumming or Colin Firth?
Oh, gross. Gross. I'm not going to answer because they're different columns of gross.
No one would have put money on Littlefinger for being the best boyfriend in this thing, huh?
Technically, he wins because
he does, yeah. Because Jack has a
Jack.
little, he's a nice guy until he isn't toward the end there. Yeah,
you're right, and that's one of the things where, I also am really upset at poor Jack. He got lied to. So just to catch people up,
no one's seen this movie.
Nan gets pregnant by Simon. Simon says, oh God, what's going to happen? She's like, oh, well, I mean, hello.
And a quick asterisk on that. They were what, attempting birth control, but it failed, or did she refuse to? Or?
I don't think he...
Because again, with the whole Catholic versus Protestant thing, there's a good deal of dialogue spent on the condom subject, and I'd never heard that French letter term in my life, or not to my memory at least. So
right.
I was pretty confused by because the girls are all talking in code about it, and I'm like, what are they?
So, well, yeah, we did have to turn on the subtitles. One of the actual features of this movie and English audio and English subtitles. Woo!
Oh yeah, that's on the place on the Blu-ray case where ordinarily it lists all the special features and stuff, and there's just none.
Yep.
And it's you get the movie and it has subtitles.
Oh, and audio.
Yeah, and there's no menu even, right? It just
there was not a menu. It started. I was concerned.
I've never seen a Blu-ray like that before.
I have never have either, and that's why I'm just very grateful to have it.
Yes.
So grateful to have it.
One of a
kind. Yeah. So
sorry. Yeah, we were saying.
Well, here's the other thing, and thank you for mentioning that with the whole Catholic thing, because I was under the impression that when Nan said I can from the 5th to the 10th, and I'm just like,
right.
Is that when she's ovulating? Is she really just setting him up into this trap, or was she saying that's when I can? That's my window before this, that, and the other.
I don't think she had any desire to become pregnant on purpose.
I thought she did, because that's how she was going to trap him into marriage.
Right.
I thought she was blatantly doing that.
Yeah, I didn't. That's an interesting theory. I didn't really get any other signals from that. When my gut reaction when I was watching the movie was that's when she was trying not to become pregnant.
When you said that, I'm like, oh, that's right. That's what 1950s Catholics do, right. Or 2000 Catholics, or any hoozle. I don't know all that. I cannot speak for all Catholics, but thank you for that, because that was just a oh my God moment there. Mm-hmm. So she is pregnant, Simon's baby. In a moment of panic, she goes to find her friends. She sees Jack, who, because Benny's father died, she has to skip classes until the next term because she has to run the store. And Jack is just sad without her. And then Nan takes advantage of the fact that he's just like, oh, have some more beer with me. And
yeah, and she walked up to him and said something about she was expecting to find her friends. And we
talked about it.
Yeah, I wasn't curious enough to pause it and back it up, but I was like, is she telling the truth? Is that just
the way she walked into there, she really looked like she wasn't looking for Jack. She was looking for somebody, but when she saw Jack, she's like, oh, opportunity.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's my giving her. But I want to know who she actually was looking for.
Right.
To be
But
honest.
anyway, then she takes the opportunity to seduce him, and then he gets blamed for the pregnancy. And
Right. And he has to break Benny's heart and all this other stuff. And
because he intends to marry Nan,
he
right?
is an honorable
Do right by her.
gentleman. He is an honorable gentleman, I suppose.
Cheated on his girlfriend.
Who cheated on his girlfriend.
Honorable starting now.
Those were the parts I obviously didn't focus on so much as just their conversation, like Jack and Benny. So Jack's supposed to be a doctor, and he
Medical student.
He pukes at the sight of blood.
Right.
And it is definitely shown.
And his plan is just to get over that before graduation at some point.
Good old Catholic, get over it.
Solid plan. That's called you declared your major and it's too late to back out. And
the funny thing is, though, is that he's like, I know it would break my father's heart if I didn't do this, so he's going for it. But I
have to become a stinking useless lawyer instead. Or something.
I actually did wonder if his father was going to give him the whole, like, why would you date that fat girl? But they're just like, no, all of these conflicts that you thought it would be a love triangle, I thought it might be a whole, like, you know, she's not good enough for you. And he's like, no, she's a very lovely girl. We've all had dinner together with her family.
Yeah.
It's like no weird.
Like, oh yeah, she's got the curves or so. I don't know.
The point is, even though we're hearing, so like Minnie Driver gained 30 pounds for this role, according to trivia.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, she had to gain weight for this role.
Still looks pretty normal.
She looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just, okay, yeah, she's the fat one. This is like the beginnings of my whole, oh, that's right, she's the fat one, isn't she? Oh, right, Keira Knightley's the plain one in Pride and Prejudice. Ugh. So
right.
I had hey, what a surprise, I had a chip on my shoulder. when she's the, you know, the plain one, the fat one, anyways. So, but lo and behold, she caught the eye of the most handsome Mrs. boy in school.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because she is in fact still Minnie Driver.
Right. Sure. Why not? Right. And so, I don't know, her insecurities just scream relatable, even though she, you know, because.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah. And it's, you know, it's a conservative society where, like, you know, your like personal appearance is kind of until they like get her into until they get her into that low cut dress that's like so scandalous. It's also like she's just like exploding out of it.
Yeah, that's also relatable, where it's just like, okay, I know I'm supposed to do this, but can I please put these back now?
Before the show, you were saying, like, is that where all the 30 pounds went to? It's just it's all on her chest.
She's just so pretty.
Yes.
And where was the 30 pounds? I don't understand. Okay. Overall, it was amazing to rewatch this movie.
Yeah,
I did get so many feelings that I'm still actually processing. Mm-hmm. And I won't take too much time talking about it until I remember something, in which case I will take all the time I want to. But what was your overall opinion of, you know, the stories?
Yeah, it was, well, you know, we've talked on the show in the past about how I tend to be easy enough to please with movies that, like, it has to go really wrong before I'm going to say anything less than, like, it was fine. In this case, like, yeah, it was fine. You know, it was a nice little, you know, slice of life thing that, you know, kind of unpacked these characters' personalities and how they related to each other. You know, fine way to, you know, spend 90 minutes if you're just going to let yourself get engaged in that. I can see why this movie's kind of forgotten. It's definitely not, like, up there in terms of movies in this genre that I would recommend, but I didn't hate it, and getting it as kind of like a window into young Diana's psyche was just, like, crystal clear. It's like, I don't even need to wait for the podcast to find out why this movie resonated with Diana. It's kind of obvious. So,
what do you mean, honey?
Well,
see earlier in the podcast.
I'm going to non-sarcastically answer your question because among all the other stuff we've touched on, I would just say, like, you know, mainly the shyness, or like shyness isn't even necessarily the right word for it, but just the sort of
insecurity.
You know, putting your first feelers out there into those sort of like adult decisions, adult relationships. And I'm not even talking like the scandalous way, just like oh, you're out in college, it's your first the first person you really date seriously when you're out of your parents' house, or mostly out of your parents' house, as the case may be. Relatable experiences. Maybe not as relatable to me as it was to you, but nonetheless quite relatable.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I guess the next question is specifically talking about Jack and Benny, Chris O'Donnell, Minnie Driver, just so I can clarify the back of the box again.
Thank you.
When did they fall in love?
You think I'd have done the show enough times. I was all ready to answer what happens next. I'm like, oh, shoot, there's another question that happens first. Actually, it's not actually surprising that question takes me off guard, because I think I described this earlier as like a slow burn drama, and it does indeed take it very slow to its credit. I think they because like them falling in love is kind of the central arc that anchors the rest of the story, and they do in fact stretch it pretty much over the entire movie, from the initial attraction to the kind of learning to trust each other, and having these really significant conversations about Benny's family and Jack's college career / future as a doctor. Sorry, you were going to say something?
Well, also not to mention that not only is it a slow burn, they rip it right out of your hands in the middle of it as well. Where with the whole conflict with, it's her best friend, it's one of her best friends who did this. So it's like, how could you do that to me with my best, one of my best friends? So, hence the beginning of their, could you love?
Yeah. So I don't want to give a cop-out answer, but I do want to say that, like, one of the bigger compliments I could give this movie is that it's nearly impossible to nail down one part that where it's like, oh, they're in love. There's not like just some scene where you can sort of see like the screenwriters posted to one side saying, oh, here's the turning point in their relationship. I mean, Benny is pretty clearly like head over heels with him from square one, but I think I would say like the point where they're really committed to this thing is around I'll just say the conversation where they're are they by a lake or something? It's like one of the like two or three scenes where they're just sort of having a walking date, where they're sort of out in nature having long involved conversations. And I would pretty much just say like that point, the long involved conversations was it.
Yeah.
And if I'm spreading that too thin, because I do want to say there were like at least two scenes like that. I would just say where they're kind of talking about med school and their worries. I think I want to say in the same conversation, Jack talks about the whole I can't deal with blood. How am I going to get through med school? And Benny was in turn talking about how things weren't so great with her family. Also, just very in fact, I think that's what really matters. The fact that like, oh, the lives that have sort of been set up for them with, Jack's father wanting him in medical school, Benny's parents wanting her to marry basically.
Marry Sean.
Yeah. And, and just like, I don't think that's enough for me. I need to find something more. What do you think? And just turning to each other instead of, their established, their established domestic environment,
right? And in fact, I no surprise whatsoever, I watched those scenes of them walking, talking by the water, both of them, because one of them is them getting to know each other, and he even says that you're very easy to talk to, and then there's a continuation of that, and that is mine.
It's a very sweet compliment to pay someone.
I think so.
You're getting to know them,
but I think the moment, I mean, yes, she was like, you said knocked her socks off head over heels in the beginning. There's a moment where they're walking. She's talking about a movie. She's talking about a scene in the movie where something about a glove and trying to, put, the male character is supposed to put the female character's glove on, and, so delicate. And he, without even hesitation, gives her, she says, if it was my hand, it would, probably wouldn't be able to get on there. He grabs her hand. He puts it up against his, and it says, it's about the same.
Oh, yeah. That first casual touching.
That wasn't casual, though.
Oh, yeah, I know. But it was, it's like with a pretext, but still, it's very, It seemed like it came naturally for them.
Yes.
And one imagines, Benny's heart was doing butterflies in that moment. But
mine was for her.
Oh, don't blame you.
Because
it was a very sweet moment.
There is something about those first flutters when you're with somebody.
Yeah. Now, one important question about that scene: when they were talking about the movie, did they call it a movie, or they called it a film, right? That's how you're supposed to say it in Ireland, right?
I'm glad I gave you the opportunity to say film.
I just want, because I remember at least one character pronounced it film, and I don't know if that was
Benny
one of the,
did.
Benny did.
It was Sean who said film.
Right. Yeah, and like none of these actors are actually Irish, he said, or maybe one of them. I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't do that much research. I did IMDb research.
At least none of the principal actors. I think I'm sure some of the supporting cast was.
Maybe.
I want to say Aidan Gillen is Irish, but I don't actually know.
To be determined later.
You can all Google this on your own.
Okay, but apparently you were ready for the what happens next question.
Mm-hmm.
So
before we dive into that, do you want to just recap the ending of the movie really quick?
Oh, right.
So no one's confused.
So for some reason, Nan thought it was a good idea for her and engaged Jack should go to the cottage party that was happening, and Benny is there.
This is Eve's housewarming.
I don't know if it's a housewarming. It's just one of the parties, one of the many parties.
Or something like that. After, I mean, it was like semi-inhabitable before. In part,
they had a bunch of parties there, though.
Yeah, but it was all abandoned, right? Or
it was. She fixed it up. They had a bunch of parties there. That was the whole fun.
Right, because and Nan was also like breaking in there and have sex, right?
Yes, also the case. But I think it was just another one of their parties, like in between terms or whatever.
Sure. Okay.
But yeah, so Nan thinks it's a good idea. In fact, even Jack says, like, I don't think this is a good idea. She's just like, no, of course it's a good idea, Goes in there. She has a present for Eve, a vase, and Eve just takes one look at her and is able to piece it all together from a comment that was made at Benny's father's funeral that Sean said, because Sean catches Nan but like sees them creeping on them, having sex in the cottage, but makes a generic comment.
Eve is just having her Sherlock Holmes moment, piecing everything together. And
yeah,
it's all of a sudden she's in on the secret.
It doesn't help that she's slicing bread as this is happening. So I alluded to it earlier, where she's just screaming and waving a knife at Nan when she figures it out. Mm-hmm. So it's just, and what it doesn't help is that in the trailer, I've seen the trailer for this many times, you actually see her screaming, and you had to go steal Jack from your best friend. And I'm like,
man, 90s trailers, they were just had no chill about the spoilers,
So that happens. She starts waving the knife, and then Nan just runs up against one of the glass windows.
Yeah,
door.
like jams her arm into a window, cuts open an artery, starts bleeding profusely, and she's like clutching her arm to her torso. And I couldn't tell the blood was coming from her arm, but you couldn't really tell. I thought maybe it she's bleeding from the abdomen, and it's like, okay, this movie probably has too much class for it to just be like a really convenient miscarriage suddenly happening.
No.
So
it was coming from her upper arm.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was lots of blood, and Jack comes running in, doesn't even hesitate, takes off his tie, starts to put the pressure on there to keep the the bleeding stopping, and then get a doctor,
and learns that his fear of blood goes away when it's a real emergency or when he's really helping someone, and that's how he learns he cares about helping people and wants to go through medical school. That's not okay. That's not. I was thinking more about the part with Jack and Benny, not
oh shit, right?
Jack and Nan. Well, anyway, yeah.
Well, okay.
So anyway, yeah, Nan gets busted, and then she goes to England to have an abortion, or maybe just to have the baby. That's not actually said out loud.
It's unclear. All she says is that she's going to go. And
off to Protestant land.
Jack sends her away and says, you don't have to. And no,
I say the movie is leaning heavily towards she's going there to have an abortion, but it is open to interpretation.
Right. That is what happens. And Jack comes back.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to also take the next level of that? Like, Benny gets assaulted by Sean.
We don't need to talk about Sean.
Finds out he's been embezzling, and then that's an opportunity for him to get the hell out of the story.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, the bad suitor goes away, and Jack comes back to Benny to ask if she could possibly take him back, especially now that he's not engaged to Nan anymore.
She's so snarky to him.
Oh yes,
earned.
He deserved worse than snark, I think. I know, but yeah, and that was the And yeah, and
I mean, he told her just like, I didn't get faint or anything like that. Well, I'm very happy for you.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So she kind of brushes him off, like not completely, but says like she kind of wants. Well, it was the quote you used to open the show. Like she kind of wants to, or like she feels like she could love him again, but doesn't feel like it would be a good idea necessarily.
But even before that, he says like, if you'll have me, I want to marry you. And she's like, why would I want to do that?
Yeah, exactly.
But with a little bit of just like extra, not angry, but just like, and why would I want to do that?
So they part terms from they part ways from that conversation on the terms of like Benny needs to think it over and it fades to black.
You need to get to know me as I am now.
Yes, because they're both different. They're both changed by their experiences.
Yes,
as tends to happen in a dramatic film. And then as it faded to black, I was like, oh, this is going to be the hardest movie ever for the podcast, because if the movie had ended there, it would have been so ambiguous, because it really could have gone either ways. But then we get a little epilogue anyway.
Well,
what else do they do? They break into Eve's cabin to have sex. And I was just laughing at the thought of like just Eve getting in there and just getting so mad at like all these couples going through, just like horny raccoons, just chasing them with a broom. Stupid kids.
Thank you for that image.
You're welcome.
Eve with the broom, not the horny raccoons.
Sure.
Because I'm a lady.
Yes.
She's not above waving a knife, so.
I know.
Okay. That being said, you were not left with that, but instead you got a nice, post reconciliation scene.
Yes, they
also a voiceover of Jack went back, pursued his studies like a demon, and she apparently wrote this paper about comparing the the sexual mating rituals, what have you.
The thing that one professor was talking about.
Yes, exactly, and apparently her paper caused a stir,
right,
and pointed her to her future career as a writer.
Yeah, and they what was it? They were dating for 2 years before they had premarital sex, or what was the 2 years in that?
I don't remember hearing 2 years.
I think it was something about 2 years. Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
But they did stay together, and okay, so yes. I
mean, for me, it's like that was just the term ending, and that was still the same class. So I don't know if it's a full year or 1 year or not. So
I don't think it matters that much, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to put time frames to it, but go ahead.
Well, I appreciate that.
Okay.
So anyway, yes, extrapolating forward. Yeah, I mean, I tend to judge these things, I think I've said this on a previous episode, based on like how much growing have they done within the time frame of the movie. How much, I mean, especially for people in their 20s, in the very early 20s in this case, or maybe even younger than 20. I don't know.
I mean, if it's I don't know.
But yeah, I mean,
teenage years.
So much of like the 18 to 25 age range is like, figuring out what kind of person you're going to be for the rest of your life. And I don't even mean like deciding. I just mean like kind of discovering it through your experiences.
Trial and error.
Yeah. And just huge credit to this movie for that line about like, you need to get to know me as I am now, because like, yeah, when you're young, it's you change so much as a person, and experiences like that change you as a person. And in this kind of story, I find that kind of increases my confidence in like how healthy would this relationship realistically be as we kind of move forward, that these are people who have maybe not done all the growing that they're going to do before they become established as adults, and get through that early phase of their life, but definitely like over one major hump, over one kind of adversity. And every relationship has to survive that first test of really being hurt by your partner and finding out if it's worth coming out the other side. So the fact that they've done that is like, oh, that's great. And I mean, especially by 1950s standards, I don't like culturally speaking, if they were gonna get married and do they worst case scenario, they just like stay married but they're kind of unhappy about it, or I would say these are people who earned it and earned the ability to trust one another. And I think they have a happy, quiet domestic life of successful doctor and writer, few kids, probably a lot of kids, come to think of it. Or I don't know if they that
I don't
whole
know. Benny is.
fifth to the 10th thing, if that works out for them. I don't know.
I mean, I'm actually thinking about how Benny was an only child, so she might, also have one of those.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas Nan had tons of siblings, so
I have no idea what would be normal in that society. So.
I mean, you only go with what you have. So,
Mm-hmm.
hi, I'm what you know in terms of big Catholic families. So
Sure.
medium.
Yes.
I agree with you. I think it's helpful to see Benny grow up a little bit. She wants to be a writer. She wants to have a career, so that's helpful. She also kind of steers her mother into taking over her father's shop.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really helpful that even though she stayed to do that, she also told her, she also got her mother set up. So I see that as her way of also just saying, I will be here to support you, but at the same time, I'm not going to do everything for you.
Yeah. It was nice of her to break her family out of that mindset of like, I need a son-in-law to run the shop because no one else can do it.
Ma, read this. Okay, yes, he's embezzling. Let's get him the hell out of here. So that was...
Got a good feeling about that kid.
Sure. It's very easy to, but in my version, I'm like you. They've gone through some growth. They've made some decisions. They've fallen and they're getting back up again. And it's very comfortable for me to say, yes, they finish school, they get married. If Jack's dad is coming into Knockglen to see people as a doctor, I don't see there's any reason why Jack can't do the same with Benny, and then Benny will just come with him. She can write anywhere. She can visit her mother. She can still maintain that connection while still simultaneously, having a life with Jack wherever he is. Because I think she wants to get out of Knockglen entirely.
And sorry, where's that?
Knockglen is where they grew up.
That's the small town.
That's the small town where they grew up, yeah. But the thing is, her father's shop, if it's maintaining itself, I'm actually going to throw in like a possibility of, with Benny's encouragement, her mother remarries. And so there's something there that she can have a life. She can, have someone to share the business with, because she's not quick to see. I love that they went to go see, the lawyer, because it was just like, oh, it's supposed to go to Sean, your father's wishes. And they're just like, okay, well, that's what his wishes were. But I recommend that you sit on that, Mrs. Hogan. And she does. And she, learns it. So I think she's going to be learning a lot from her daughter. And in turn, I think she's going to find that. And she's going to get some, like, stepchildren and have a bigger family. So there's not such sadness when Benny isn't around as much. And in turn, eventually, I think Benny and Jack will have, like, 2 kids. And they'll visit Grandma.
Yeah, that's nice. Any quick thoughts about the other characters, Eve and Nan? And
Well, Eve is... I don't know. I just don't want to like lump them all together, but
Eve can take care of herself.
Eve can take care of herself, but at the same time,
she's got a house and a non-slimeball boyfriend which is comparatively, yes.
Maybe she needs to get out of the small city mindset. And well, then again, he wasn't from the big city, so I mean, he likes her enough to come in. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Nan, something bad happens to her. I don't know.
Aww.
Oh man. Yeah. I was, I did not find her unsympathetic for most of the movie, but by the end it was just like, oh my God, she's such a piece of dirt. Like just.
So you're fine if she was, say, eaten by a shark?
One of those Irish sharks?
No.
Do they have, I don't know. It's the whole country is like coastline. So, I mean, I was like, I remember, especially whenever Paulina would review one of these period pieces, she would always have some insight based on like the history of what was going to happen later in the time frame. And just I don't actually know that much about Irish history, but I do know that the troubles with the radical groups that happened. Like, I mean, it carried on for a long time, but like the worst of it was in the 60s and the 70s. And I was thinking like, oh shoot, is that going to be relevant to these characters' lives? Like probably not, but I don't know. And I know that's very serious real life stuff, and I don't want to make any flippant remarks, but say maybe Nan falls in with some, radical group and goes to jail. I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. Yeah.
You gonna strike that from the record?
I don't know. You're the editor.
No, I meant the record in general, just because it's all staying.
Oh, sure. No, I mean,
I'm a lazy editor.
In all seriousness, the thought crossed my mind, like, wait, would the Troubles be part of like the sequel to this movie? It's like, I maybe, I don't know, but not in a, like I said, I don't want to say anything flippant about serious real life stuff, but how about screw Nan? I was just so mad at her by the end of the movie, you know.
So you and Eve can get together and talk about it.
Eve was like definitely my favorite character. I thought she just seemed like the normal one, you know.
Raised by nuns.
Except, yeah.
Anyways.
Maybe it all cancels out. I don't know.
All right. Well, there it is. Thank you very much for talking to me about this.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing this movie with me.
And thank you, Meg, again for making this, forcing my hand in a way where I was just like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Thank you for making a decision for me.
Thank you, Meg.
Yeah. All right.
And good luck to anyone who wants to actually watch this movie.
If you have any thoughts about this movie, including why the hell would you I can't watch this movie, Diana, why would you do it? Well, now you know. You can reach out. We're on social media at HEAMCast, HEAMCAST on Twitter and Instagram, Happily Ever Aftermath on Facebook, and you can email us, contact@HEAMcast.com.
Yeah, I'm at Ryan Skonnord on Twitter. You can find me in the HEAMcast retweets.
Mm-hmm. And that's Circle of Friends. I guess I can finally cross that off the list.
Yeah, another one down. Huh?
Okay. All right. So until next time, may your aftermath be happy. Did you understand what I meant by getting eaten by a shark?
No.
She's from Deep Blue Sea.
So, oh, I hate myself right now.
I didn't want to throw it back at you though, because I'm just. You know, you hate her so much, and then you see her just getting eaten by a shark. Hooray!
I was like the only person who actually liked her character.
I know,
in Deep
that's
Blue
why
Sea
I wanted
too.
to ask.
I have a little rant about how the test audiences, they made her get eaten, and she was supposed to be the protagonist.
I know.
This is going in bonus material, right?
I wanted to, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dang it, Saffron Burrows.